Nothing in this recording is intended as investment advice, and the people in this recording may hold positions in the companies they talk about. Do not make any investment based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Hello and welcome to Zak's Traders Cafe. Today I'm joined by Jim Mellon, who's chairman at Agronomics. Hi today, Jim.
Hi, Zach.
Right, I had the pleasure of attending a presentation of your company a couple of months back, and it was all very exciting. I was rushing out to get some pet food, but there's more to Agronomics than that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Agronomics has got a portfolio of about 20 companies. Some are homegrown, some are companies that have been invested in over the years. And, it's got a disappointing share price. It's about 7p, compared to an asset value which is around just under 15p. But, I'm very happy with it. I mean, basically, it's a personal passion for me. And I'm the biggest shareholder, and when I can, because there's all sorts of rules about when you can and can't buy shares, I buy more shares in the company. So I think we've got 16 or 17% of the stock, and I really like the way it's being run, and I like some of the companies that are therein, and some are good, some are not so good, but ultimately I think it's going to generate a very good return for shareholders, and the asset value has trebled since we started it not so long ago. And it's a real asset value based on recent fundraisings by these companies. And, if I might say, we are getting, in some instances, close to price parity in the foods that these companies are producing. We're getting some very exciting traction in terms of approvals. And our big factory in the United States, which is Liberation Labs' factory, will be open by the end of this year. And it's very big, and it's, I hope, the first of many.
Right, a few points in there. I think 3 or 4 years ago, there was a decent bubble in the clean food sector, and that sort of cooled off as things tend to do in the markets. The other point is that if you're an investment company in any sector, the market tends to value you on your worst investment or your cheapest one rather than your best one, which is not very friendly. And I suppose the other thing which always holds share prices and valuations back is people say, well, that's a great portfolio, you've got great companies there, but how much money do you need to get over the line? And that tends to be the thing that causes a bit of trepidation. Would you acknowledge all those points?
Oh, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Agronomics is not a very big company. I think its asset value is around the £160 million mark. But it did benefit from the attention to alternative proteins during the pandemic when people were sitting at home and experimenting. But it also was kind of hurt by the fact that there's a conflation in the public mind between plant-based food, which Agronomics distinctly is not, and what we call clean food, which is food either made through precision fermentation, and that would be typically dairy and eggs equivalent, or cell agriculture, which is making meat and fish in laboratory type conditions. And the two are extremely different, i.e. plant-based foods where there's generally no IP, very expensive to market, and the taste is not the same, the texture is not the same as what you might call real meat. And the stuff that comes out of what we're doing, which is bioidentical and in fact is meat, fish, dairy, and egg products, and is now on the cusp of commercialization, and also, as I mentioned earlier, of being at a price point that is acceptable to consumers and to food producers that will use these products as ingredients. And there's going to be a lot of good news out of this sector over the next 2 or 3 years, and I'm glad that we've stuck with it.
Just a couple of points arising from that. The first is that the sort of there is a lot of science associated with this, which tends to be in the rocket science department. Sometimes you mentioned in your recent RNS about having an in-house bioreactor, which sounds quite strange compared to just having a cow in a field. So that is one thing. And the other aspect is, I suppose, consumers are concerned about, whether this is safe, whether it is, as good as real meat, or, I mean, obviously the clue's in the name in terms of being clean food, but there are those issues right at the sort of supermarket end, perhaps, which may be a lid or a delay in terms of adoption of these products.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, but this is not going to be replacing the meat industry or the fish industry or the dairy or egg industry overnight. This is a multi-generational thing. But there's a big enough market, total addressable market size of about $5 trillion, which means that there's sufficient size and scale for us to be doing this for the next 10 years and grow very rapidly. And I mean, by very rapidly, I mean 50% or double every single year in that period. And the most important thing for me, as you know, Zach, I wrote a book, which I know you've got, called Moore's Law, which basically says it all, that, the price will come down with the scale and the efficiency will go up. And I want to give you one example, if I may, which is, many of your listeners will have heard about the dog food that we've got, which is called Meatly, which is chicken made in a lab and used in dog food. That company started about 3 years ago. The price for its media, and media is the stuff that feeds the cells that grows the chicken, was about £700 per litre. Today it's around 20 pence per litre. That's in 3 years, all right? And by the end of this year, not that far away, it will be 2 pence per litre. And it will be very soon when this chicken, this steak or meat, this fish will be cheaper than conventionally farmed food, very, very, very soon. And at that point, the big users of meat and fish will buy everything that comes out of the factories of these companies, because you've got to remember, there's no antibiotics, there's no hormones, there's no fecal contamination, there's no environmental impact, or very little environmental impact, and there's everything to love. And the younger generation, I mean, I'm talking about people in their 20s and 30s, are huge embracers of this stuff. So everything that is made at the moment from any of the companies that we have, every single item is sold straight away. And I've got no worries about the sale of the stuff. What my worries are the entrepreneurial ability of the people who are running the companies, as always with any new industry. And secondly, regulatory issues, whether this stuff will be approved or not. And we are finding approvals really in the key markets very quick at the moment, including in the UK.
Well, that is a remarkable thing given the red tape in this country. But just finally, Jim, you've got lots of things going on at Agronomics and lots of different investments, as you pointed out at the beginning. Do you actually have a favorite child?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, okay, I'll just give you, because it's very difficult to, but I love the UK as a hub of innovation. So let's give you three UK companies very quickly. One is Meatly, the dog food company, and already Pets at Home is distributing its product. Pets at Home has invested in it. The big dog food companies like Nestle and Mars are all over it in terms of their technology. It's UK based. Secondly, there's Clean Food Group, which is based out of Bath, which is making palm oil and other valuable oils in a lab, and that is really exciting. And again, all the big food companies are all over it. And the last one is Tropic, which is based in Norwich. It is a super company, and you may have read that it's worked out a way in which the Cavendish banana, which is 99% of bananas around the world, can be stopped from browning for a month more than is currently the case. And Cavendish is already covering about a third of the world's bananas. So UK companies, really exciting, and a UK listed vehicle which is selling at about a 50% discount to its NAV and has some great news ahead.
Well, we look forward to lots of great news. In the meantime, Jim Mellon, chairman at Agronomics, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Zach.